And we're talking about we want a better life, and want a better community, and we want a better world or a better earth for us to live in. It starts with us. It starts with every single one of us deciding to take responsibility and to hand down the experiences and wisdom that we have learned through life, and to teach these kids how to become men. And it's something that we have lost complete connection with. We're so focused on these screens, and we're so focused on what we think other people want to hear about us, that we've lost connection with the most important things that we can do is pass on the wisdom to the future generations, because they are going to be the lawmakers. They're going to be the ones to make the decisions that will dictate the outcome of our life when we're older. And I see the men of my generation, we're sleepwalking ourselves into this dystopian nightmare because we are not pushing our boys in the way they need to be pushed. I put up a post yesterday, and it was so true, it really resonated with me. Where are all the kids with broken arms and broken legs and cuts and bruises? It doesn't happen anymore. When I was a kid, we jumped off sand dunes, we were climbing trees, we were swinging off ropes, we were fucking making our own ramps and jumping over them, we were falling, we were breaking bones, we were cutting ourselves, we were scraping, crying to our mums, getting Secatrin powder put on our cuts. We were constantly bruised. And somewhere along the line, I don't know what's happened, but this culture we've now created that everything has to be safe, everything has to be completely sterile, and that we can't allow our children to fall, we can't allow our children to get hurt. And we've now got a generation where we're wrapping our children in cotton wool, terrified of letting them experience what life is about. And the reality is, we have to fall. We have to fall in order to realise we can get back up again. And we're not allowing our kids to do that. Instead, we're so busy and we're so distracted. We're giving our kids iPads and iPhones and mobile phones and sticking them in front of TVs, and we're letting influencers teach them what they should do and how they should think and who they should be. And we've completely removed our ability to influence our own children. And then we're complaining about why society is the way it is. It is because we're the way. We've done that. Lads, how is keeping? It's a lovely day today, isn't it?
It is indeed.
Nice and fresh. But this is something we can fix. It's something we can fix very easily. But it takes us to, first of all, recognise that we're the cause of the problem. That as adults, we're also the solution. And if we don't do this very soon, what are our grandkids going to be like? Our great-grandkids going to be like? Because our children are going to grow to be adults, and they're going to base their beliefs off their childhood experiences, of what they've been taught as a child. And unless we let our kids, our young men, because remember, the men are the protectors. This has been an agenda purposely to get us to this point where our boys don't know how to be men. I go back to this every time. The last 4 years wouldn't have happened had our grandfathers been born in this generation. Because if we had the fortitude of our grandfathers' generations, they would have stood up, they would have fought back, they would never have allowed this to happen. But men are so weak as a collective that when there are men, I was very vocal, I spoke out very, very loudly about what was going on in the COVID era. And you were shut down, you were lambasted, you were made fun of. Men, grown men, would side with all this bullshit and allow our kids to be treated the way they were treated. Forced, well, not forced, but the parents did push the kids to get these shots, all because of a story that the men couldn't stand up and speak out because we've been so conditioned. And you've got to see this. It's a war. It's a war that's happening, and unless people wake up to this realisation, we're going to go further and further into this dystopian nightmare. Our children need us. Our boys need men to show them what it is to be a man. But there's no one there to do it. Like, I say this all the time, we're not there to wrap our kids in cotton wool. Our job is to stand underneath them, let them climb and let them fall and be there to catch them, to soften the blow. But they've got to experience the fear of the fall. They've got to experience the hurt, they've got to experience the pain, they've got to experience the bruises, because when you fall, you realise you can get back up. Falling's a lesson. Like, these experiences that we are depriving our children of, the experiences that we had, we're so scared of our kids getting hurt that we try to stop them, but we can't. We can't stop kids getting hurt. Kids have to explore. It's in their nature to explore, especially wee boys. Wee boys are Tasmanian fucking devils. They want to rough and tumble, and that's the role of the father. You see, and it's both the mother and the father's problem, because mothers, you've got to take responsibility for this as well. Mothers' jobs, mother's instinct is to nurture, is to love, is to give them like that nurturing, loving energy that makes them feel welcomed and wanted and understood. But men don't do that. Men push, men prod, men throw their kids onto the settees, men throw them up in the air and catch them. And I used to run about with my eldest, holding her baby girl and run around going, meow, flying about, and the ex would be freaking out. But nothing ever happened, except the child loved it. She was laughing her head off. Fathers have a different role than the mother. We, especially for boys, because women don't understand this. Women, you have always been princesses. Well, most of you have been princesses. Your daddies loved you. I love my two daughters. I treat my two daughters so differently than I did to Gail's son Rory, because Rory's a boy and he's becoming a man. And when you're a man, you realise that as a man, you've got to learn certain skills. You've got to realise that the world doesn't give a fuck about you like they give a fuck about women. Men are built to shoulder the burden of the family. We carry the burdens of our children, and we provide that protective space for the women. And if we can't do that because we haven't been taught how to, then who's going to protect the women? Who's going to protect the kids? Because, like, no offence to women, I know you all believe in you're equal. I disagree with that. We aren't equal, we're different. We bring equal energies of different values, but that's what brings balance. But the reality is, men are stronger. Men decide what happens, and we've seen what happens when toxic males get in control of the world. It happened, the patriarchy over 100 years ago. We abused women. We allowed ourselves to get out of balance. There was a lot of physical, sexual abuse from men, and this is where the feminist movement was able to take root and distort the balance of the energies between male and female, whatever you want to call it, masculine, feminine energies. But it's starting to come into balance, and it hasn't even got out of balance. It's went out of balance again now, to the point where women are now so in the masculine energy that they don't know how to be feminine anymore, and that's disrupting the natural balance of society. And we need to see this. It's not a judgment, it's an observation. It's a realisation that we need to accept. We need to come aware and acknowledge. And when we acknowledge it, we can do something about it. We can accept it, and then we can change it. But we're not willing to. We're not willing to look at our own selves. And this goes as a collective, and not only as a collective, but on an individual level. Good morning. How are you keeping?
I'm alright.
It's a lovely fresh day, isn't it?
It's cold, isn't it? Yeah. It's got the coat on anyway.
Aye. She wouldn't be able to handle it if she...
Would she not?
No, it's too cold. She's only a pup.
What age is she?
She's about 5 months, 6 months now.
Yeah. She's going to get much bigger.
This is the question. She's a Staffy American Bulldog cross, so I don't know. Hopefully not. I like the smaller dogs.
Yeah. Well, she's a really nice temperament, that's for
Oh,
sure.
she's lovely. She's friendly as hell.
Yeah. People get scared of them, but don't they?
Yeah.
Terrible.
The bully breeds, it's the problem. They get a bad reputation.
But it's not even the dog.
No,
the
it's the
owner.
owner. Well, there's some dogs that the instinct in a dog can be.
Well, I suppose
You can't change the genetics of a dog, you know.
No.
But she's a softie, like.
Yeah, she's lovely.
Long may she last that way.
I'm sure she will. I'll see you again.
Good luck now. But as a collective, we have got to be aware of this happening. This reality. And as individuals, you've got to ask yourself, what is it we want? I come here every day, every single day I can. As long as it's not raining, I come down here, sit here, meditate, do some rapping, sit and think about my own self, my own head. And I read a lot. I listen to a lot of books. I read a lot of books about women, relationships and women and men. I read a lot of the energies, and I read a lot about the indigenous tribes. And I learn a lot from the indigenous tribes because the culture they exist in has existed for thousands of years, unchanged. And when you can see the roles that the males and females naturally fall into, and then you see the harmony within that structure of society they have, and then you look at us, you can see the differences, you can see the mistakes, because for all our technological advancements, we're more divided, more depressed, more angry, more separated, more alone, more fearful than we've ever been. But yet we're told we're the most intelligent we've ever been. Bullshit. Bullshit. We're the most conditioned we've ever been. We're foolish enough to believe we're the most intelligent we've ever believed. But that's because we don't want to look at ourselves. We don't want to look in the mirror and see who we've become, who we actually are. And the only way we're going to change this and get to where we're all craving to be is by doing the work individually and doing the work as a collective. And what the work basically means is observing yourself, observing your actions, questioning what it is you want, and is the approach you're taking the right way to get it? Do you know, every interaction, there's someone speaking and there's someone receiving. But in between that speaking and receiving and you interacting again, there's a moment where you can reflect. And most of us, we're so eager to be heard that we don't know how to listen. So that moment where we have the opportunity to reflect and to consider what's being said is interjected by us just wanting to speak. And what that means is we never actually listen, and we never give ourselves time to absorb what's being said. We're so ready to say what we want to say that most times it's not the right thing to say. And it's causing this disconnect, and it's causing arguments, it's causing fighting. And in relationships, husbands and wives, like a lot of husbands and wives, there's a lot of fighting in the houses because of this inability to listen, to pause, to reflect on what's being said, and to consider your response. And it causes fights, and those fights occur in front of the kids. And the boys are watching their fathers shouting at their mothers responding in kind, and they're accepting this as normal. They're taking this on board. They're not thinking about it, but they're absorbing it. And this is something that's happening every household. And it's happening because of the state of the society. Because we are so worried, unconsciously, we're so worried about what's going to happen, where we're getting the money, are we going to have a job, is something going to happen, is a nuclear bomb going to happen, is COVID going to kill us, is climate change. It's all these narratives that we're being bombarded with constantly, unconsciously, just through those 15-minute news cycles you see in Sky News and the BBC and the magazines and social media. And we're absorbing these thoughts and we're absorbing these words and we're taking them on board and we're programming them and processing them in our own minds, completely unaware that that's happening. But it's forming the basis of our beliefs. And then we're acting upon them, we're acting in kind to them. And then we're wondering how the fuck we got here. The indigenous tribes, what do the women do? They look after the kids. They care for the village. They prepare the food. The kids, they're not raised by the mothers. Good morning. They're raised by the entire village. Like, in the villages, there's usually 1 or 2, 3 women pregnant, and those mothers will feed all those children. And in this today's society, you'd be like, ugh. But think about that. That means those children are getting nutrients from an entire collection of women who've all different sort of properties in their milk that's going to give them antibodies and help them grow stronger. Because that saying, it takes a village to raise a child, is so true. We've just lost connection with that. And then you've got the men. The men, they just go out and hunt. They build the shelters. They build the houses. They get the food. They protect the village. They're willing to lay their lives down. And then these boys, I've said this story many times, you know, these young boys are being held by the women of the tribe. Their feet are barely touching the floor for the first 2-3 years of their life. And all the while they're doing this, these young boys, these babies, they're watching the older boys, the generations before them, and they're copying them, they're emulating them. And there's, in all these villages and all these tribes, there's a rite of passage that every young man must go through. Girls don't have to go through this. Girls get their place. This is the whole thing. You see, you've got to recognise this. Women were born with their purpose. Not all women, unfortunately, but women in general were born with a purpose. That purpose is to produce life, to create life. These are portals for life. You've got wombs, ovaries. Look at girls today. We girls, they'll pick up their dogs, like my two, pick up Freya, and mummy and daddy's plays, you know, and they're dressing her up and they're wanting to treat her like a wee baby because that's their instinct. Boys, on the other hand, boys are rough and tumbling. They're fighting for dominance. They're fighting for their place. They don't know their purpose yet. Men have to discover their purpose, and this is the problem, because we don't recognise that boys have to discover their purpose, and we have to show them their purpose. And the grandparents are living with the family. Yes, exactly. Fee, that's what I'm talking about. They all live together. They all live in a communal home. Same thing as this. Again, I call this an agenda. It's an absolute agenda, though people probably are just so conditioned they don't see it. But this self-soothing the babies. What the fuck? Self-soothing a baby? A fucking baby that has no concept of the world around it, only understands this energy called love that experienced from the parents, and all of a sudden it's put into a room by itself and then left to cry. That's trauma. That's fucking trauma. Now we're thinking to ourselves, oh, but we love her and all, but no, that child is experiencing trauma. It's an abandonment. So from the get-go, we're teaching our kids about abandonment. And when you consider that we know that children's heartbeats go into sync with the parents, and that children exist in the theta brainwave up until the age of 7, where everything is real. So they say that children should sleep with the parents till the age of 7. If you want to give them strength and give them fortitude and the ability to cope, they need to feel safe, they need to feel loved, they need to feel wanted. This society, the foundational structure that we have built this upon, is so far removed from what it is to be human that we've lost connection with what it is. We don't understand how to be human anymore. We are conditioned, we are taught to what it is to be a human, but we were never taught to be humans in the tribes. We just instantly, automatically, autonomously did it. It was instinctual within each and every one of us. And the thing is, in each and every one of us, it's still lying dormant. That knowing. And I know, I just spoke about that time I got that hug, the time I tried to kill myself and I got that hug. That's just normal human behaviour. Someone's ill, someone's sick, someone's not feeling right. We hug them. And what did they do over COVID? They prevented children from hugging their grandparents. You know, you've got to see this for what it is. And the craziest thing about this for me is, I see a society where It is so simple to fix this. So simple. It mightn't be easy, but it's fucking so simple to just fix this issue, because it's not even a problem in my eyes, it's an opportunity. And this goes, I always go like the macro and the micro. You know, the micro is the individual. We've all got a problem. We all have shit lives happen. There are lives where shit happens and it's not really fun. But they're lessons. And in those lessons are opportunities. And we'll go to the collective. It's the exact same. As a society, we have made mistakes and we're just repeating the same mistakes, hoping for a different outcome. And it's this repetitive nature we've got. It's bringing us further and further and further away from what it is to be man or woman, to be a human. We are here to produce life. Do you know, and when you think about this, if you understand epigenetics, I go more ancestral, just for the work I do, but epigenetics has shown, like at the spark of life, and we've recorded the spark of life, we've recorded that moment. See, Steve, that's horrible. It's fucking horrible. It's just disgusting. What they did was evil. Now, I'm not going to go into my conspiracy theories. Like, I am a complete, like, I do believe this is spiritual, and I do believe in reptilians, and I do believe in other entities controlling us, but that's here or there. It's everyone's opinion. But, you know, our kids need us. Our kids need us to be the men that they need in order for them to thrive. Right now, we're in survival mode. We think we've got it right. We think we've got things right. We believe we've got it right because the news is telling us. See, the news have told us all the lies that we all know it's lies, but yeah, for some reason we can't let go of it. It's cognitive dissonance. It's the hardest part. But I was going back there, the spark of life. We have got video footage of the moment the sperm hits the egg. And oh, sorry, someone's trying to get on thing. We've got this video footage of this happening. So what you've got to recognise is, in that exact millisecond where that happens, all the ancestral trauma, the epigenetic, the change of DNA that happened, the traumas that's been passed in the DNA. So I'm going to put my glove back on. That has been imprinted into that now potential human being. When something traumatic happens to us, let's say you're abducted or you see someone murdered, good morning, something very, very traumatic, and you haven't had children yet, your DNA is changed in that moment, and that becomes a part of you. So when you create life, you're passing that trauma into that child. So that child is going to be born with your traumas. And this is where the work comes from. This is where the biotic code and stuff and the emotional healing and the stuff that I like to get into plays a role. This is why I'm always on about, you know, it's our job to sit with our traumas and sit with our pains and our programs and change them. You know, recognise that this has been created, this has been passed on to us. A lot of our shit isn't actually ours to hold. It's from past generations. And then on top of that, so you've got that genetic trauma. Then you've got your actual lived trauma, your experienced trauma, the family you grew up in, the experience you had, the nervous system programming, and how your ego had to fracture to allow you to survive and cope with these pains and problems and fears. And that's forming your DNA as well. And then that's going to be passed on to your kids. And these are things we can heal. But we talk about courage, we talk about bravery, and we emulate MMA fighters now, combat athletes, to this level of alpha maleness, but they're not warriors. A lot of them aren't warriors, they're fighters. They're different. A warrior is different to a fighter. A warrior is someone who is willing to die and protect, and the weaker. A warrior is someone who's willing to battle their own demons. And so many of us are terrified of doing that because it exposes us, especially men. To be vulnerable in today's society is one of the most terrifying experience you can have. I spoke about this yesterday. One of the Indian tribes, I can't remember its names, past me there, but when someone's depressed in their tribe, they all come together and they sit with them and they chant and they do rituals and pray, and because they believe that their sickness is showing up the sickness of the tribe, and they thank the person who's going, the man or woman who's going through the pain, for exposing the problem of the tribe so they can heal the tribe together. That's beautiful. That's connection. And that's safety. And there's a book, Johann Hari, Lost Connections. It's about depression. And they talk about how sleep is one of the greatest factors of showing you how content we are. And that they put the doge on our head and they read our sleep patterns, and none of us sleep well anymore because we're terrified. And this would go back to like the tribal experience. If you were kicked out of your tribe, the African plains say, you couldn't sleep properly because you had no one to keep you safe, and so you always had to stay awake. You'd always have to sleep in case of danger. But there's this one tribe in the Amazon, I think it is. I think it's the Amazon, could be wrong. But they sleep the soundest of anyone. They don't have anything. Don't have electricity, don't have running water, don't have concrete houses, don't have any way apart from fire to cook foods. But they sleep the soundest because they belong, they feel, they're connected to their tribe, they're connected to their people. They've got a sense of belonging, and that is something that is lacking in Western society. And it's something that we can cultivate. We can cultivate it through simply acknowledging that we're all terrified to be seen as the version of us that we are. So many of us are scared to be us. Do you know that man or woman you know exists, but only you know exists? We're scared to show that person because that's judgment. Excuse me, I sneeze. Excuse me. A friend of mine, great example, is fantastic at making videos, brilliant videos, but he struggled with his weight for years. And one day, about 5-6 years ago, he said he was going to do a vlog and he's going to do the weight loss. And he's going to journey his weight loss and he's an actor as well, by the way. And he's a good actor. He's done some nice, really good roles. And the thing was, he fell out with me. We have this common habit of falling out with each other. But he fell out with me because I pushed him because he was slowly but surely the vlogs were stopping. And I knew why. And he was defending why he couldn't. I don't want to do it anymore, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, the problem with him was when he was playing a role, an actor, as the actor, like on camera, on set, it didn't matter what people really said about it. Yes, it might have made him feel bad if someone said it wasn't a great performance, but it didn't really matter that much because it wasn't him. He wasn't playing him, he was playing a role. But when he came to do the vlogs, that was raw, that was honest, that was him. And that meant that he was exposed and his true vulnerable self was being seen to the world, and that was a threat. And so it was natural that he just became defensive. It's not a judgment on him. It's a natural human instinct that we need to stay safe. We need to feel protected. And if we don't have that group around us that can make us feel protected, make us feel safe, then we become irrational almost. We have to defend ourselves. We have to become that father figure ourselves. And you can see this in the tribal, especially in football. You know, the hard men, the hard men hooligans, one-on-one they're not big, but as soon as they get in their group, they feel safe. Do you come to Belfast? I do. Live in Lisburn. But you know, like this is, you know this, what I'm saying making sense to you, I know it does, because it's innate in every one of us. It's there. It's lying dormant in so many of us. And we're all craving it. We're all craving that connection. We all want to be loved. We all want to be seen. We all want to be heard. We all want to feel like we belong. But we're all terrified to take the steps to make that happen. And those steps are made by simply, first of all, sitting with yourself. Like I come down here every day to sit and just meditate for a while and just observe my thoughts, connect with myself, recognise. I like to analyse what I did the day before, the week before, how I fucked up, conversations I've had with people that mattered, and how maybe something went wrong, I didn't handle it right, and I found myself automatically not pausing in between the conversations but attacking. And I like to sit with myself and ask myself, observe that conversation and what did I do wrong? What was it within me that caused the problem? Well, yes, I agree with that. I do say that. I say it all the time. We're all on social media, but that's a crazy thing. Social media has become a tool, and to deny that until, I don't know, it's going to be a while, but yet it's going to happen someday. It probably will end. Good morning. But we do have...
some more?
Social media is nothing but a tool. It's like a knife. A knife in the hand of a surgeon can save lives. A knife in the hand of a scumbag can take one. But the knife on its own is nothing but a tool. Same as social media. Social media is an extension of how we feel. We are looking to be distracted. Everyone wants to be distracted because if you're not willing to sit with who you are and what you do and how you feel, then social media is a great tool to justify not doing that. And this is where we've got it wrong. Because social media has the power to impact and change lives forever. There's Simon Scribb, there's a guy who's changing the world through social media. Using social media as a tool to get other people off their asses and take steps forward to change the world. Like that is crucial. And that is how we can change society. And we can understand, like, I don't come on here and talk negatively anymore. I used to be a grumpy motherfucker who just used to complain and cry and moan and bitch and blah, blah, blah. Didn't do me any good. Made me feel good for a split second. Got me attention and validation as other people who were of a similar energy to me were on here agreeing with me and just gave me more strength to believe I was right. But what did it do for me? Except keep me where I was at, stuck, angry and blaming the world. It was only when I started to do the plant medicines and go deeper into myself and become the observer of my thoughts that I start recognising the pain that I'd caused others through my actions. And that was a painful process. The awareness, like my 4 A's, awareness, acknowledgements, acceptance and action, the awareness of that, I avoided it for so long. And then after that, I had to acknowledge it. That was hard. And then accepting it. I suppose I'm in the accepting and the action stage. Accepting because I still have to accept a lot of things there's a lot of things I need to fix in myself still. This is where this contemplative state gets me. It's where I'm able to take control of this and do things differently about it. But we all need to do that. But we're all too distracted. And look at here's how you know how you feel. Your algorithm, your social media algorithm, it will tell you exactly how you feel about yourself, what your real thoughts are, because that's only feeding you what you give it attention to. So if you're constantly on about celebrities, you're going to get loads of celebrity shit. If you're on about beauty stuff and you're going to get beauty stuff. And by the way, beauty stuff, not to attack women, but this is something that, because men are steroids, but women, girls, why in the name of sweet fuck are you destroying your faces? I don't understand. I genuinely, I'm telling you from a man's perspective, I can tell you this now, I have yet to meet a man who finds those lip-filled things attractive. They are ugly. I could not be with a woman who pumped their lips full of that crap. It's just so unattractive. We live in a society where we're speaking about, we need to love ourselves, and this message about being beautiful and being unique, and individual, but yet everyone wants to look the same. Cheek fillers, lip fillers, tattooed eyebrows. Like, why? What is within yourselves that makes you want to destroy your faces? Your uniqueness is your beauty. I don't think women understand that. Do you know, most men will tell you the imperfections are what makes you perfect. Gail, her tooth's not straight. I loved it. It's like I'll tell you, Patricia Arquette. If you watch True Romance and Patricia Arquette and True Romance, that crookedness in her tooth, that imperfection, is what made her the hottest woman that I'd ever seen when I was in my 20s. The imperfections that you seem as a problem, to the right man, is going to be what makes you absolutely perfect. And you've been conditioned, like cellulite. Cellulite is just literally a name that was made up in the 70s by Vogue magazine, just to sell a product. But now women are terrified to wear shorts because they've got cellulite. Well, you can change that with diet. You can change that with exercise, and you can change that. You can change the way you accept your body through your mindset. Like women have got this problem with mothers. Do you know they call them the what do you call it? The mother belly. Do you know when you give birth and you've got that loose bit of skin? Like, why not wear that with pride? That's a badge of honour, is the way I see it, is because you're a woman who's done exactly the job that a woman's meant to do. You've created life. It's not a scar, it's a badge of honour. But social media, pumping full of 22-year-old gorgeous girls who won the genetic lottery, all with their lovely tight-toned bellies, and your men are looking at them. Of course men are looking at them. Men are men. It's impossible to stop a man looking at another woman. It's in our nature. We are here to breed. It's instinctual. Doesn't mean we don't love our wives. Doesn't mean we are going to cheat. It just means that we're men. But society, the social media, this is the toxicity of social media. It's now being bombarded with these gorgeous girls, gorgeous men that leave us unable to find solace with how we look and feel. And then you've got these women, 30s, 40s, unmarried, missed the boat, as I say, they've spent so much time in their traumas that they didn't get the man they wanted in their youth. And they're looking at now they maybe found a man, but they're insecure. And it's just this complete hamster wheel of trauma that's happening, and men are struggling, women are struggling. So that's the toxic side of social media. But I can tell you now, like, the men I know, they all love their wives. They all think their wives are beautiful. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just thinking, like, I would never cheat. I was a massive cheater. Like, I used to cheat all the time. But I didn't cheat on the mother of my kids. Never cheat on Gail. But apart from that, I did. But that was my shit. That wasn't anything to do with the women. That was my own insecurities. And you've got to realise that. This is where the reflection comes in. If someone cheats on you, it's not a reflection on you. It hits you. It affects you. But it's not a reflection on you. It's a reflection on the other. It's a reflection on the man or woman who's done the cheating. It shows, and it's maybe a get out of jail free card, because it shows you weren't worth what you thought you were to them. And you're now free of that, and you can move towards finding someone who does see your worth. But we're all terrified, aren't we? I just see it, but I just see so many young boys full of untapped potential being dragged down the road. They don't need to go down a road that's not going to help them become the strong men that we need them to be. I'm 47 years old. Like, I'm past my sell-by date when it comes to my peak of physical fitness. I was actually talking to my daughter turned 11 on Sunday, and I said to her, sweetheart, you live your life again. I'm gonna be 58. It's 2 years off 60. Like, that freaked the fuck out of me. I don't say I'm 60 years old, by the way. I'd say I'm 60 years young. So I would say I'm 47 years young. I'm trying to get myself down, because even that birthday thing, the old, it's programmed in your mind to think you're old. You're not. You're as old as you feel, and we're as old as our body, the biological age of our body, has nothing to do with the age we actually are. If we all look at ourselves and we all look after ourselves, both physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, age is nothing. That's why and I can say this, I only speak about what I know, not what I read, but what I know. So I read stuff and I'll learn stuff and then I'll experience stuff and then I know it. And I can tell you, since I've started the meditation properly and since I've started the sound therapy stuff, I've changed completely. I'm 40, no, I'm not 60. I said in 11 years I'll be 60. I was talking about my daughter. My daughter lives her life again. She's 11, she just turned 11. When she turns 11, I'll be 58. So I'm like 2 years off 60. Fucking 60, give me a break. I'm 47. But yeah, like, since I've started the sound therapy, and I do it myself, you've seen the video, banging the gongs in my head and all, the bones in my head, there's a distinct change in my energy. I can feel it. I'm experiencing it. This isn't something that I need to push on people, but I know it works. I know the regular use of it and the meditation and just sitting and breathing, the breath work, it makes massive, massive changes. Everyone's looking, and listen, I'm a gym owner, 20 years nearly in this game, but the gym isn't working for the vast majority of people. It's making people worse because we're seeking something we can't achieve because of the mindset we're currently in. If we're not in the right, correct frame of mind to get to the gym, to eat the proper foods, we're never going to get the bodies we're after, and the bodies we're after is never going to change the individual. It might make you look better, it might make you feel a wee bit better, but those thoughts, those fears, the shit that you're not looking at, they're still lurking in the background, ready to just pounce whenever shit goes wrong. You've got to allow yourself that time to sit with your emotions and cry. Like, I genuinely, like, I used to be embarrassed about crying. Fuck me, I cried this morning for no reason. Just felt this emotional urge, this emotion come over me. So rather than bottle it down, I feel into it and go, right, there's something here. So I just let it out. And I feel so much better for it. And so many men are killing themselves. I know I tried, the reason I tried all out that shit when I was growing up was because I was terrified of crying, because there was so much shame in my life. There's so much, I was never good enough. You were made to feel lesser. So big boys don't cry. So I held that in. But holding that in led to me hanging on a rope more than once. And there's so many young men doing that. So many older men doing that now. And it's just insane that we're doing this. That we're still in this place where men can't express themselves fully. And the crazy thing is, like, I used to run the Sharon Circle for men, and it took off for a while, but it drifted away, because when it gets to the nitty gritty, it's easy talking about the superficial stuff, you feel a wee bit better, but when it comes down to expressing the raw emotion, that's hard. That's why I like the ayahuasca retreats, and that's why I like those retreats, because in that energy, in that environment, you're there to bare your soul. And it's when you bare your soul do you release that pain. And it's the most beautiful experience you'll ever have. Some of the stories that I've been told by men, I've heard, they brought me to tears. One story, a man, I just told him he's the strongest man I ever met. I'll never betray his trust in the story, but what he went through as a child to protect his brothers was just horrific. And he didn't feel like a man for it. And I give him a hug. I just gave him a hug and fucking cried my eyes out hugging him, because it was so powerful. Mate, you are genuinely special. I need to get started in your gym. You're welcome to come anytime. But there's a thing, like, I talk like this now because I realise this is what society needs. We need more men, we need more women to talk like this as well. We need just raw, honest connection. Do you know, people come on here and say to me like, fuck, you're talking to one mate, you're talking to three people, or you're talking to no. I just laugh at that and go, that shows you how they think. We've been conditioned to believe that we're only making an impact if we're talking to thousands of people. I had a friend who said, my goal, he's got a very successful gym now, monetarily, he's very successful. He said, my goal is to impact 10,000 lives. I just looked at him and bollocks, you can never impact 10,000 fucking lives. It's impossible to impact 10,000 lives. You might make a change, but you're never going to impact 10,000 lives. That's just fucking word porn, verbal diarrhea just to make yourself feel better because you want to make money. But if that's your foundational belief, that's your foundation. My belief is connection. My foundational belief is connection with others and to truly help. I've got a small gym. I think there's like 60, 70 members. Doesn't make that much money. Keeps me alive. Doesn't provide me with a life I would ideally like. But I'm going to change that next year. Like I'm going to change that because my goal, my dream is in the next 10 years to have a retreat centre that serves medicines, fucking therapies, sound therapies, things like that. Nice wooded area. I need land for that. So I'm going to use the gym as a way to create the money to be able to buy the land and do this because we need to heal. Society needs to heal, and we can only heal when we're together. We can heal ourselves individually to a certain perspective, a certain point, but there comes a point in your journey where you need to be surrounded by other like-minded people who are there to do the same thing, and that energy that you provide and you produce together creates the healing environment that helps others. So that's the goal for me. My goal is in the next 10 years. By the time I'm 58, by the time I'm 60, I want to have that retreat centre running. And by the time I'm 60, I'll have a lot more intrinsic knowledge to be able to pass on. I'll probably look back at myself at 60 years old laughing at the shit I'm talking now. But you can only talk from what you know. You can only say from your experience. And I think if more of us had the courage to do that and not judge each other and listen, because I get things wrong all the time. And I'm glad when I get things wrong. Now, I used to be that I'd defend myself and I'd defend the stance because I couldn't be wrong. Now when I'm wrong, it's like happy days. That means I can fucking let that go and go down a different path, a path that's going to take me towards what is true. I think that's what we all need, isn't it? We just need to discover our own truth, our own purpose. And we can't do that when we're living a lie. You can never discover your own truth when we're just, the life we live in is a lie based on social media and societal stories. But anyway, I'm going to go here. Speak to you all tomorrow. Have a good day.